Welcome to the Schmooze, Calgary's weekly community podcast where we bring together the voices, events, and stories shaping Jewish life in our city. I'm Don Shapiro with Jared Shore. Pull up a chair, let's schmooze. So we just had Rabbi Menachem Matusof from Chabad Lubavitch of Alberta. God, that guy's amazing. In short,
Yeah,
I use the word awesome, and it definitely is one that will become a recurring theme when we talk about him.
he is. He is. And the interesting thing is he really those of us in the community know him, but really he's the front face of the community at Hanukkah time in particular. And so it's interesting to talk to him. I loved hearing about the broader mission of Chabad and how much community building they are doing.
It really is unbelievable, and I think that both of us, as involved as we are, as knowledgeable as we are, really finally understood from this conversation what Chabad is. And it's I want to say in what it isn't because it's everything. Like Chabad is such a sweeping organization and heart of the community that I learned, and I knew they did these things, but I never kind of put it all together as their core mission. And learning about that really opened my eyes into what who he is and what they stand for. It's amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And it'll come as a bit of an interesting note to our listeners why he was saying, Shabbat's boring. Come during the week. Uh, we'll leave that as a little teaser.
All right.
Uh, it was interesting to talk to him about Hanukkah and what's transpired over the last couple of years with drama, with our mayor, and here he is with as much excitement as ever for the menorah lighting coming up next Monday.
And I think that the most inspirational thing that he said, and when we started talking about, some of the things, the dramas that have happened over the past couple of years, and we started talking about, obviously times of darkness. And he just every single time that we kind of took that thread, he corrected us. And it's always better to focus on the light. And his message from that was just so inspiring. And if you too take a pause and take a look around, there is way more light than darkness. And sometimes we might get really involved in it, and it might hit us a little bit harder than other times. But taking a look at how far he's come in his journey, from Casablanca, Morocco, to Palm Springs, California, and to go from California to Calgary by choice, mind you, was is inspirational in and of itself.
Absolutely. So we want to encourage all of you to come to City Hall next Monday. That is the 15th, 5:30. And as always, a wonderful opportunity to be together as a community with all of our supporters, our political supporters, our friends, our family, members of law enforcement. Come and celebrate Hanukkah with us as a community.
Yeah, and it's such a fun event. It's such a fun day, and we look forward to seeing you all there celebrate the second night of Hanukkah. And it's really nice to feel the support from council this year and from all the partners. And it's going to be a very warm, wonderful evening at City Hall at 5:30 on Monday, December the 15th.
Yes. Okay. Now, Don, last podcast, we had a great conversation with Rob. You and I made a couple recommendations for podcasts, but today you have a different recommendation. You have a book that you want to share with everybody. So tell us a little bit about Doug Century and his new book.
Yeah, so the at the Jewish Center they had the Jewish Book Fair over the past couple of weeks, and I got to meet Douglas Century, sorry, and his new book, Crash of the Heavens, the remarkable story of Hannah Senesh and the only military mission to rescue Europe's Jews during World War II. We are planning to have Doug on the podcast in a few weeks. So before we do, I highly recommend you pick up his book, read it because uh, in chatting with Douglas about the book, the writing process, his friendship with Hannah's nephew, David Senish, it's all those behind the scenes sort of stories about it, about the book, are what we're going to be talking about. So I highly recommend it. It is a wonderful story, and Hannah, just a lioness, Zionists, just filled with so much Jewish pride, that I don't want to give anything away, and I love the way Douglas says it, but I highly recommend that. But before we get to the episode, with the rabbi, I heard this term once that said, the best time to plant a tree so you can enjoy its shade is 20 years ago. And the second best time to do that is today. And the beauty of Rabbi Matusof is that he did plant that seed 37 years ago, and he still keeps planting new ones every single year. And well, yeah, I'm feeling, especially because earlier today we saw Noah Tishby, and now listening to the rabbi, I just feel so inspired and grateful for this community.
Yeah, me too. Me too. We had a great schmooze. Enjoy, everybody. Here's our chat with Rabbi Matusof.
This episode of The Schmooze is brought to you by Chabad, Lubavitch of Alberta. For decades, Chabad has been a pillar of Jewish life in our city, welcoming everyone regardless of background, level of observance, or affiliation. Their programs, education, outreach, and community support have touched countless lives and continue to strengthen Jewish identity and connection in Calgary. As we move through a time where unity and Jewish pride matter more than ever, supporting organizations like Chabad ensures that our community remains vibrant, resilient, and connected. If you're able, we encourage you to consider making a donation to Chabad Lubavitch of Alberta and take part in the mitzvah of building Jewish life for generations to come. You can donate by visiting menorah.ca. Every gift, big or small, makes a difference. Thank you, and thank you to Chabad for their ongoing dedication, leadership, and love for our community.
Well, it is such an honor to have the man himself here today, Jared. I've been looking forward to this since we started talking about doing this podcast, and it's such an opportunity because of the time of year. As you can see, I'm quite festive right now, and there's a reason for it. But ladies and gentlemen, today we have the rabbi himself, Rabbi Menachem Matusof. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much. It is a privilege and honor for us to be part of the pioneering this amazing program. Another very meaningful and a tool in spreading the word, in spreading the light, in sharing the light. So kol hakavod to both of you. Keep it up, and God willing, it's going to grow and to spread and unite the community, which is your goal. Our goal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Rabbi, and so nice to see you today. Rabbi, the timing is great because it is Hanukkah. Now, I think we all know you do a lot of work throughout the year. Hanukkah is though a little bit different because it's a time when you take the lead in the community and you're really the face of the community for a menorah lighting that has been a Calgary tradition now, and we're grateful for it. We're going to talk a little bit about the menorah lighting, but before we get into that, tell us about you. How did you end up here in Calgary?
You want me to start from Mount Sinai?
I know that's probably where you're inclined to start.
That's right. In the beginning.
Yes. So look, I mean, the history before Calgary is a little. Maybe we'll get to it, but we were with Chabad in Palm Springs for 2 years, my wife and myself. As soon as we got married, we joined Chabad there and worked with them for 2 years. And then after 2 years, the position there has changed. There, my position was to be half a day. I was teaching grade 2, 3, and then 3 and 4, and I was offered to teach the same grade for a third year, 4 and 5, 4 or 5 children in the Chabad day school that was there at the time, and also the preschool, because I was told that I'm so good with children, and that's when I realized time to move on. Yes, I might be very good. I might be very good with children. I might be a very good teacher, but my thing is Chabad work, Chabad house work, which is what I was doing there for half a year, and then I got different offers. One of them was to start Chabad in Alberta, and I came here for 10 days. And obviously discussing everything with my wife and so on and so forth, and checking out both communities, Calgary and Edmonton, and chose Calgary to be the headquarters. I've written to the Rebbe, to the Lubavitch Rebbe, a report of my visit and what is happening here and why we think Calgary, and we got the Rebbe's blessing, and the rest is history. Over here for now. Since the end of '88, right after the Olympics.
Wonderful, wonderful. Tell us, we've all known about Chabad's presence in the city, but many of us have not been. What would we expect if we came to a Chabad event, a Shabbat service at Chabad? Tell us a little bit about Chabad.
So if you'll come to Shabbos services, you'll be bored for 2 hours with the services. But if you come to Chabad during the week, you'll be served an espresso, a latte, have a nice schmooze, and you'll discover one of the greatest, best kept secrets in our community of what is happening, of the growth and the future of the community that is taking place now in the new campus. I still call it new because we're here only 9 years, and yes, time flies. Of the amazing growth and the promised future of the future leaders in our community and beyond. So that's what you'll experience.
I remember my first experience with Chabad and with you. So it wasn't our first experience, but I had just finished my service at the IDF, and I was married. I was very, very young, and my wife and I at the time had decided to move to see if we're either going to move to Calgary or Toronto, and we came to Calgary, and this would have been 1998. And my wife, Israeli, her English wasn't very good, and she's like, "Well, I need some sort of center here. Where do I go? I need community. I need help. Maybe like we didn't have a lot of money. I just this is before college. This is just I'm a soldier. We're both very young." And the first place we went into was Chabad, and we met with you. And as we sat down, you had already, just because we had called to set the meeting, you had already found us furniture. You had already found her employment if she wanted it. You had found, and you even pulled out something. It's like, it's so funny because I was just looking, I knew this meeting was happening, and you had an old note of a previous time that I was there. You and I had a conversation, and it was just the warmest feeling in the world to be welcome. We ended up moving to Toronto, but it certainly wasn't because of that meeting. I'll tell you, it was. It's to me that's what Chabad is at its heart.
So Dan, I don't remember the note, but one thing I could tell you, that the relationship with your family, I don't know if with you personally, is way before you came from Israel. Your father was really interested in getting the Israeli community together, and he arranged for evenings in different places. He was involved at one time with now it's a McLeod Trail was a hotel, and
The
now
Majestic Inn. Yeah. Now it's the Dream Center.
now it's the Dream Center, and we had there an evening with Israelis or more and whatever, you know. So the history goes beyond that note. I'm interested in what that note said, but there is a note from you. I don't know if I ever gave it to you, Jared, of when you were at Chabad in Edmonton with
Okay.
with a youth group,
Yeah.
I guess BBYO or something, with Rabbi Ari Dreylech, and
Yeah, sure.
I have in my file somewhere a letter, a thank you or something from you. I don't know. I think I shared it with you a few years ago.
Yeah. Well, I remember the night quite vividly, and you know, Rabbi, it's so interesting that you speak of these moments, and really, I think one of the messages that comes through loud and clear, which is perhaps a misconception, is what a fundamental role Chabad plays as a community builder. So you've talked about. I wouldn't have guessed that you were going to tell us Shabbat's going to be boring. Come the rest of the week. That wasn't the Chabad commercial I was expecting. But I have to say, as you know, someone whose family has been involved with the conservative movement and the reform movement, we're seeing kids from every denomination come be in a Sukkot limo program. They were going at Chabad, taking limos around the city, going to various sukkahs around the city. And then hearing from a friend of mine today that she attended a Kabbalah service with 80 women at Chabad from all different denominations. Chabad is the community builder that I think a lot of people would be surprised by.
I mean, it's interesting. It's not interesting. I'm not shocked that you're mentioning these things. I will explain why I'm saying that the Shabbos morning service is boring. Not that I discourage people from coming Shabbos morning, and not that I discourage people from coming to services, period. But here is that I will give you a little history, and which is a wonder by many people, and they don't understand what did we do. 9 years ago, after looking at 26 different buildings, properties that we searched over a few years throughout the city, anywhere, anything. I mean, I knew more about real estate than realtors in the community, because we were looking for a place for Chabad, where we should be. And when we actually took over this place here, that was A1 cement, these 2 acres, people didn't understand what we're doing. People thought that we're totally out of our mind. And people told me, in a year or 2, you're going to move back to sorry, but I will call it, to the ghetto of the Jewish community. And I said, we will see. Let's see what will happen. I don't know. We'll see. And so no one understood what happened, what we did. But here are some statistics and real statistics of what happened. Other than the minyan, other than services, which is very weak, it started to grow. And unfortunately, with COVID, it hit, and we still didn't recover from it. And to a certain extent, it's not where we put our biggest emphasis, as needed as it is. Other than the minyan and the prayers, there isn't a single program that hasn't doubled and tripled. Wow. in the programs. You're talking about the limos with the teens. 120 names, teens participated last year in our sit-in program. This is a huge number for Calgary. My wife just started. It wasn't a service; it's a class. It's a 7 series, a class once a month in Kabbalah, that is, my wife is giving it, and for women only. Originally, she ordered 20 books, and 80 women registered, and young, old, people who have never come to Chabad, and some people who did, teenagers, mothers and daughters, and so on and so forth. It's part of the JLI course. The JLI program started here quite a few years ago, about close to 20 years ago, and flourishing. Over 100 adults are paying to attend the JLI series classes that are given by Rabbi Groner, one of our rabbis of our team, and so on and so forth. Our camp has doubled and tripled. 150 children, 200 children attending between the winter camp and the summer camp. Our Hebrew school, the Sunday Hebrew school, this year we have close to 70 children. We have no room in the Chabad house. This morning, to everyone's surprise, we had to move the women's class that my wife gave the Rosh Chodesh Society, which was divided. Some women came Thursday night and some came today. We gave two options. We had to move it to our house. We have no room. We had no room in the Chabad house to host it, as big as it is, 2 acres of land, and so on and so forth. And why? So I'll share with you why, and I'll give credit to a dear friend, Drew Steffenberg. May God bless him. He was in Calgary twice, and serving the community. And we started with him. Then he came back, and in conversation, a very good friend. And in conversation, when we were searching for places, he tells me, Menachem, don't make the mistake that we have done at the Federation and at the JCC. Right now, it wasn't a mistake. At the time, it was the right place to be. But right now, he says, we're stuck on 90th Avenue where we are. Don't be stuck here. Go out to Crowchild and Glenmore Trail. That was his thing. And I knew it. I was looking everywhere. I was looking all over and all over, and that's where we are. We are on Glenmore Trail, between Crowchild, between the Ring Road and Deerfoot. It's the center of the city. There is one Tesla in the city. They're looking up to Chabad. They're right.
It's true.
They're right
It's
below
true.
us. So so it's no wonder that that activities have grown because of the message of Chabad, which we might get into it today or another time, whatever it is. We are not here to maintain Judaism. We are not here to survive anti-Semitism and loss of our children to intermarriage and so on and so forth. We are here to build the future, and the future is brighter than the past. The future is way, way brighter and more promising than the past. And that's what everyone needs to have, that approach. Not only Chabad. Chabad is here to lead. The Rebbe has taught us that we should be the example to the entire community. Synagogues, organizations who are here to survive will not make it. In synagogues who are here in order to maintain Kaddish for our beloved ones, to maintain Yortzites, to maintain only a tradition, will not make it in the future. It's impossible. The only way is to move forward and to create a future. And this is the key. And I invite everyone to take that approach and that philosophy. Let's compete. Let's see who is doing a better job in getting the future in a not survival mode, but a going forward with the biggest strength.
And it's so inspiring to hear that, because you live that philosophy every single day, you yourself. But when we take a look at Chabad, Lubavitch on a grand scale, I do want to get into what the mission is, the specific mission of Chabad. What is the goal? Because in my life, I have chosen, especially in my youth, I was much more secular. and as I'm growing, older now, there's family and so forth. I find myself really seeking the spiritual. Those spiritual roots that maybe my grandparents were much more involved in and so forth in past generations. And I could see the allure of it and the community of it. And I remember this would have been over 20 years ago. I was in Venice and I was just walking around and just being a tourist, and I went into the Jewish quarter, and of course, just two guys at a table from Chabad just walked. And said, "Do you want to niach tefillin?" And I was like, "Yes, yes, I do." And it was, since my bar mitzvah, it was probably one of the first times I had done it, and it was just such a feeling in that moment, in that place of community. No matter where you are, you're still part of that community, and every Chabad Nick that I've ever met in my life has just espoused that warmness and welcomeness. So tell us a little bit about the mission of Chabad and why are you guys so awesome?
I don't know. Anyway, I'll start with, usually one should answer first and second, but I'll start with answering your last question. Why we're awesome is because the community and the children are more important than the leaders. We put them first, and we put the future before the past, and before our, which is the success of parents. Parents that are successful are because their children are coming first, and that's simple and short. I think that's why we're awesome. I don't know how awesome I am, but my team, thank God, and my wife is more awesome than me, and all of our rabbis and rebbitzins, Baruch Hashem. We have 16 clergy, men and women, rabbis and rebbitzins serving Alberta. That's a huge number, and we're short. We need more. We're not managing. The philosophy of Chabad, it's interesting that this is happening now, this conversation. Tomorrow night, we celebrate Rosh Hashanah LaChassidut, the new year for Hasidism. Anyone could look it up on the internet. Today, everything is available. So I'm not going to take the time now to elaborate on it, but in Judaism, there isn't only one Rosh Hashanah. There is a number of them. The Talmud speaks about 4. There is Rosh Hashanah, and there is before Pesach is also Rosh Hashanah. There is Tu Bishvat, Rosh Hashanah Le'ilalot for the trees, on and on. So there is Rosh Hashanah for Hasidism is tomorrow night and Wednesday, 2 days, and that's when the Chabad, the world is celebrating, and you'll see it in the news. It will be there. The Jewish world is celebrating this day because of the contribution of what Chabad has done in the world. Chabad Lubavitch is 2 names, which Chabad is an acronym of 3 words in Hebrew: Chokhmah, Binah, Da'at. Chokhmah means wisdom, Binah means understanding, Da'at means knowledge or connectivity, which means with an emphasis in the philosophy of Chabad, which is huge on learning and not only on following tradition. We do things not because we understand, not because we were told to do so, but we engage in understanding who is God, what is the relationship of God with the world. Is there a God in the world? We're not scared of learning these topics that is usually referred to as Kabbalah, but on the contrary, that's what Hasidism has brought, is brought Kabbalah, mysticism, in a way that we could understand it as lay people, as ordinary people, that it should make sense to it in order to bring life into what we're doing, not only what's on the surface. Lubavitch is a town in Russia, which the translation, which the Chabad movement was there for over a century, maybe even more, many years, and then the translation of the word of the city Lubavitch is city of love. It's the same thing as Philadelphia.
Yeah, yeah.
City of love. So Chabad Lubavitch has two opposites. On the one hand, an emphasis on learning, on knowledge, on head, on using your head, and so on and so forth. On the other hand, there is a message there: love, unconditional love. And these two things are the drive of Chabad Lubavitch, which the Rebbe has put forth after the Holocaust, when Judaism was at a loss. Religious Judaism, secular
Right.
Judaism, whatever it was, everyone was at a loss. What are we going to do? And that was when the rebirth of the modern state of Israel came about, and so on and so forth. Where are we going here after this after the Shoah, after the Holocaust? And the Rebbe, with his obviously godly godly mission, wisdom, inspiration, whatever it is, as the Rebbe of the generation, as the Moshe Rabbeinu, as the Moses of our generation, which at the time we didn't know, engaged in helping the Jewish communities. The first place where the Rebbe established when he took over leadership in 1950 was Morocco. Morocco had an issue with the Holocaust didn't reach there, but they had an issue of assimilation. They were losing their daughters, Jewish girls, to marrying Muslims because they didn't know how to give a Jewish education to girls. They were lost and girls didn't have schools. The whole concept of girls going to school was new in the world, and especially in the Jewish world. They turned to Chabad, to the Rebbe, to the previous Rebbe's office in Europe, asking for help. The first emissaries that the Rebbe sent, shluchim, that the Rebbe sent to Morocco were my parents.
That's right. I read that in your bio,
Wow.
and that's
my father and my mother. They and
amazing.
another couple. And so immediately the Rebbe engaged in starting. We have to rebuild. We can't look at the past. We can't be mourning. We can't be negative and be afraid. We have to move forward. That was the first place he started, and on, and then the rest is history today, with 6,000 centers throughout the world, with
Wow.
30,000 clergy, between men and women, between rabbis and rebbitzins, who are serving the world in all kinds of capacities, all kinds of levels, at many levels, over 100 countries. Chabad is in over 100 countries. Officially, there is 134 countries, according to Rabbi Google, or sorry, Rabbi AI. there is competition now. Why? Because of the message. Yes, we need to learn. No questions are not welcomed, and we have to bring the modern world in Judaism in the modern world. And it's not a contradiction. We cannot hide. Judaism cannot be behind. We cannot use all technology and live in a modern world and be Jewish. And that's why it's no wonder the first Hasidic ultra-Orthodox Rebbe who appeared on television was the Lubavitcher Rebbe, where no one believed. I mean, we didn't have a television at home. Televisions are prohibited in a Jewish home.
Right.
At the same time, the Rebbe appeared on television. Why? Because it's a tool. People are watching it. It is there. We have to use it to spread Judaism. That's our goal. That's why we're successful, because we follow with that approach that nothing is going to stop us. And this is why we moved the Chabad house to here. I'm now here at the Calgary campus, and even though it's on the outskirts of the Jewish community, because we cannot hide. We cannot be in Woodlands and in Woodbine. There is room for many Chabad houses and many shuls and many community centers and so on. But we have to be visible in the community, for the Jewish community, never mind for the rest of the community. It has to be accessible. And that's why it's growing, and it will grow even more, God willing.
We
Wow.
were at Noah Tishby today, who came and spoke to a beautifully big crowd at the Beth Tzedek today, and
Close to
you
700
know,
people.
yeah, and her message was, not necessarily rooted in Torah, but certainly one that has the very same feel to what you talk about, and it's rooted for you. A lot of it is rooted in Torah and study and Talmud. You're saying think with your head, think with your heart. Her message is a similar one that's also rooted in history, which yours is too, in our culture, but her message being one of our community in the face of this, and through history we've faced worse. In the face of what we're dealing with now, what choice do we have but to move forward with strength, with unity, with pride, with all those things? And I think you wear that so well. You wear that so well. You live it. And Chabad, I can only speak, here, and certainly from years ago, my experience in Edmonton. That's very much the feeling that comes out of Chabad.
So, Jared, I agree with you, and I don't agree with you. Both at the
Okay.
same time. We're Jewish, right? I agree with you 100% about her message. I disagree with you that her message was not rooted in Torah. Her message was completely rooted in Torah.
Sure.
You
Yeah.
are completely rooted in Torah. We are all rooted in Torah. And
Yeah.
and one of the things she said today was that people should invite other people to Shabbat and so on.
Hmm.
I think that
Yeah.
Shabbat is Torah. If
I
I
think so.
understand.
We agree. We agree. I
So,
stand corrected.
so everything that is happening, all our existence today is Torah. Yeah, of course, I have the long beard, so so by me it's a little more revealed. But don't undermine your not Torah. You are Torah.
True. True.
On Monday, December 15th at 5:30 p.m., our community will come together at Calgary City Hall to celebrate the second night of Hanukkah with the 37th annual Calgary Community Menorah Lighting. This is a night filled with light, joy, music, and unity. There will be live music, school choirs, greetings from community leaders, children's programming, a magic show, raffles, and of course, soup, latkes, and all the good things Hanukkah brings. This year's celebration honors Mr. Alvin Libenen family, and we would love to see the entire community show up, support one another, and fill the space with warmth and Jewish pride. Bring your family, bring your friends, and most importantly, bring the light. For full details, visit menorah.ca. We can't wait to see you there.
Rabbi, let's talk a little bit. We're almost upon the celebration of Hanukkah, and certainly, we mentioned that's a time where Chabad and you in particular are front and center. I don't want to get too bogged down in the drama from a couple of years ago and last year. But you and I spent time with a few others discussing the mayor's return to the ceremony. And, the mayor made a choice a couple of years ago, Mayor Gondek, not to attend. We know the ins and outs. We know that there were many things she said that appeared to be very unfair to us. And we engaged in a discussion about the merits of inviting her back. And I wonder if you can take us through a little bit, because a lot of the community, we were all hurt. We were undivided in our hurt 2 years ago. But where we were divided a little bit more was in welcoming her back. And so maybe you can give some insight into some of that discussion and some of the thought that went into inviting her back last year.
Okay. So, first of all, I do thank you, Jared, and the Federation, and Lisa Libin, and and everyone who was involved with that, Adam at the time, as a community, the way we tackled this issue the night before the menorah lighting, the day of the menorah lighting, and it wasn't an easy thing. And not only leadership, but what happened that night was an amazing awakening in the Jewish community in Calgary. Usually the Calgary community menorah, that yesterday, Baruch Hashem, it became a tradition in Calgary, attracted 500, 600 people at the event. When it's during school year, when it's the end of December, 300-400 people. That year, 2 years ago, we had 1,200 people that were there, which was amazing. People flew in from all over. There were people who flew in from Vancouver, Calgarians, and who flew in. I don't want to mention names now, but I was really touched by what is happening here, and so on and so forth. Last year, we weren't sure what's going to happen, if people are going to come in those numbers. We had over 1,000 people last year. So I think that it brought the community together and is celebrating light and so on and so forth. Now, before I'll address what happened there, we don't have the time, and to a certain extent there is no point, but there is a point to a certain extent. What is the purpose of the Calgary community menorah lighting? What is the purpose of the menorah lighting? The community menorah lightings, the giant menorahs that is a Chabad thing in the world, that it started in the 70s, that the Rebbe encouraged. And Chabad is more associated today with menorahs than with synagogues. I mean, that's a fact. And it goes back to the same point. The point there was not to turn it into a political time where this is the time where we speak and we get together with our neighbors, with our politicians, with our other leaders in the community and so on. That's not the purpose. This is a outcome of what the real purpose is. The real purpose is the Rebbe had a simple math. That's the way I understand. I'm not the Rebbe, but that's the way I understood what is happening here is the following. There is one place in the Torah where the Torah says, where the halacha law is, we need to publicize the miracle. There is no mitzvah to publicize the miracle of Passover. There is no mitzvah to publicize the miracle of Purim. And there is no mitzvah to publicize the Mount Sinai, the giving of the Torah. Hanukkah, there is a mitzvah to publicize. We need to put it on windows. The Rebbe's approach is, put it on windows means publicity. Today, anyone who wants to publicize their business and will put a little sign on the window, they won't make it. It's not publicity. So today, publicity means publicity. You need to use technology in order to publicize. So the Rebbe encouraged a intercontinental community menorah lightings, which was in Moscow, and in the Tower of Eiffel in France, the Western Wall in Israel, and headquarters of Chabad in Brooklyn, but that had a lighting together again on television, which was I think in 1990 or something like that. That it wasn't a common thing, but bringing technology, bringing the modern, bringing Judaism in a way that it's publicizing it and so on and so forth. Obviously, what this has done is elevated Jewish pride. It elevated I'll share a little story of what happened in Calgary. The first time we put up the menorah at Heritage Park, I don't know if you were there, Jared. Don, you for sure weren't. But the first time we had the menorah at Heritage Park, and that's where the lighting was, it was a year after we moved here, after we started Chabad here. It was before Chabad of Edmonton, before it was only me and my wife and our little kids at the time. Before that, there was a dinner of Chaver Kadisha in the community a few weeks before, whatever. And I asked if they could announce that there is going to be a menorah lighting, a community menorah lighting at Heritage Park. They said, sure. So they asked me to come up and to announce it. I went up and I announced it with the broken English that I had at the time, even today, but then for sure. And then I'm walking back to my seat. It was a group of ladies, seniors, Holocaust survivors, who were sitting at the table. I passed by their table. They called me over and they told me, Rabbi, we just had Kickstarter. We have enough anti-Semitism. The place for the menorah is at the Jewish Center, not at Heritage Park. We don't need more anti-Semitism. To which I reacted and I said, you're 100% correct that we had anti-Semitism, but it's about time that the Jewish Center and the menorah and everything Jewish needs to go out of our home and be public and not be afraid of Kickstarter or of any anti-Semitism. And I quoted a Hasidic saying, Tracht gut wird sein gut. Think positive and it will be good. One lady turns around to another lady and says, he means well. It was very cute. It was very, very cute. So that was how. So obviously we had 300 people that came the first night, then the first time, and the mayor of Calgary at the time, Al Duer, who was new, he was just when he started, came and supported it and so on. It was an amazing thing. Brought up Jewish pride, and today it's history. Today, Baruch Hashem, it's as you said, it's bringing the community together. It's I see it as the biggest Jewish event in the community that is open. You don't have to buy tickets. You don't have to do anything. It's not a membership thing, but it's open and it's growing and attended by everyone. And I have to give credit to a very good friend, Harold Finkelman, which I'm sure you know, who was a co-partner in creating it and so on and so forth, in building it, in making it community. We involved the community right away. It's a project of Chabad, but we're trying our best to include everyone as much as possible. So that's where we are today, with a very good relationship and so on and so forth. Very unfortunate of what happened 2 years ago. Unfortunately, we do live in a dark world. The message of Hanukkah is obviously light over darkness, and a little bit of light expels a lot of darkness. That's the Chabad general approach to things. We don't fight. It's not our thing to fight negativity, to fight anti-Semitism, to fight all the challenges that we have. Our approach is another mitzvah. And that's why put on tefillin, light a Shabbos candle, do this. You're not ready to keep the whole Shabbos, light Shabbos candle at home. You don't want to come to services because it's boring. Stay home and enjoy your family. Do whatever you want to do. But it was a dark moment. She made a big mistake, obviously, in my opinion, and in the opinion of the Jewish community. It's very sad, very unfortunate. That day, she begged us. She told us, all you need to do is take out the line from the flyer supporting Israel, Am Yisrael Chai, and I'll come. And I said no. I said it's not going to happen. The end of the conversation, she called me that day. We had a 45-minute conversation on the phone, and at the end of the conversation, she tells me, Rabbi, will you come to my office this afternoon? I told her, what for? What is the purpose? Is the purpose that for you to come? By me coming, you'll come this evening to the menorah lighting? She says, no, I cannot come to the menorah lighting. I said, so what is the purpose? To exchange Hanukkah greetings. I said, I'm sorry, you already ruined the program, and I don't have time this afternoon to come for further time. It's not what's going to happen, and so on. What was the purpose of me saying it? That message, which is very strict and comes across as very aggressive. The purpose is we're not bending our head. She told me that day, she tells me, Rabbi, but the prayer for Israel, it's not part of Hanukkah, and administration of City Hall got into this whole thing about saying a prayer for the kidnapped. Thank God now everyone is home except one. Hashem should help. He also should come home. Unfortunately not alive, but he should come back home. So I said, we're going to say the prayer. She says, it's not me, it's City Hall at this. I said, I'm saying the prayer tonight. Perhaps it's not going to be in a singing, perhaps not going to be. I'm going to say that prayer. And if I'll be in jail tomorrow, then you'll come to visit me. and this. But I'm not bending. There is a prayer for the kidnapped. We're not bending back. That's the message of the menorah lighting.
Yeah.
Hanukkah was people lit the menorah in basements, in the hiding, in times of oppression, as well as today. Thank God in public, we cannot bend. Thank God that last year, and thank God for. I'm very proud to be in a community like Calgary where we work together, where our differences, more Torah, less Torah, this, and no one is perfect, no one has it all, but we are working together. And I do thank the Federation for working, supporting it, and so on and so forth. And it was time not to hold a grudge, but by the mere fact that she's coming to the menorah lighting, while we are not taking back anything, we still the team was still supporting Israel, Am Yisrael Chai. I told her we're still in the middle of the war, and we're not, and everything is going to continue the same as last year. And she came, so I congratulate her for it. I mean, without a question. She didn't apologize, so she didn't apologize. What's the difference?
Yeah.
But she came
Well,
light.
right. And
So
I think go ahead, Don.
yeah, sorry. It's I thought it was really eye-opening that in the response, and I do applaud it. And I do remember that I came to you last year and I asked, why you made this decision, but I did it, as respectfully as I could, and I was upset with it, but I did appreciate your answer.
I remember that.
And it was done like you took it seriously, and that was an amazing feeling. I think that when we start taking a look, and in your response, you also mentioned a time, when Keekstra was around, and I think that, the response to that and how the community rallies in times where things happen. It's amazing how the community does rally and supports each other. After Keekstra, Holocaust Symposium, really started and exploded around Western Canada. There was a net benefit. After that, her decision, there was a net benefit of doing the menorah lighting, and how the community rallies together. And we were talking last podcast about this one barber shop that's espoused all their Holocaust denialism and anti-Semitism, and how the community is rallying behind that. And that is the amazing thing of the community, and you seem to be that glue. That being said, I really also want to find out about just the events of the menorah lighting, because outside of anything political, it is a super fun event, and there's a lot of speeches, and it's so lively, and the kids singing. And so I want to talk about how you started off at Heritage Park, to what it is, and what should we expect on Monday, December 15th at 5:30 at City Hall Atrium. What should we expect? If you haven't been, why should you go?
So two things. First, a comment about what you said, that our community comes together in times of when there is darkness and negativity and so on. In the spirit of Chabad, and my message is, our community is together in times of light and in times of good. Calgary is blessed, and this is what I love about Calgary. I'm proud to be a servant, Shamesh, in our community and for all these years. It's an amazing, amazing community, despite our differences, despite that everyone has their way of doing things. We are united, and it should only continue and grow. And I will support it fully. I once told the Jewish Free Press years ago, I told them, if you are going to bring stories that are dividing the community, I'm not going to support it. We have enough news that are uniting us. We don't need negativity. And thank God for it. And I thank each and everyone and every organization for that. What should we expect Monday night? Second, 2 candles are going to be lit. two candles of light. Why should we come? What do you mean why we should come? Why, how could we not come? That's number one. Hanukkah. Well, it's Hanukkah. Hanukkah is not the Christmas of in Judaism. Hanukkah is Hanukkah. You know,
Right.
so it's how could we miss it? On the side, there is an amazing program. Thank God we have a team who are working on things and brought it to next level. And our big thanks to the administration of City Hall. I mean, first it was only the atrium. Now we have a room in the back where we take the children after they perform. In the front, they go in the back. We have a magic show, and there is programs for them, and so on and so forth. There is the choirs, and there is entertainment. Do I know now all the program that is going to take place Monday night? No, I don't. I don't have it yet. I still have work to do on that with the team and so on and so forth. But and yes, it's last minute, but Hanukkah is a holiday that is teaching us don't be afraid of miracles. On the contrary, Hanukkah is the holiday of miracles, so it's going to come together. It's going to. We had a meeting. One point that I do want to mention, and I had two different approaches to it. One person approached me last week and said, "Is it secure enough? Should we come?" And my answer was top security. And it is. I mean, thank God, you know, there is between the CPS, between the police, and between the city hall security and our own community and so on, you know, it is a secure place without any question. After all, we need Hashem, God, to secure us, because there is no security in the world other than God. And nowhere is secure. On the other hand, someone else approached me and told me, why did they get us to go out from a side door when there were protesters on the outside? They should have kicked them out and not us. So I explained to them the security that is there is interested in peace and not interested in exploding things. They are here to protect us, to protect everyone. If this is how they evaluate that, that's what needs to be done in order to keep things quiet, then we need to follow. The person who asked me that question was not happy with my answer. And I appreciated the way you weren't happy last year with my answer about Mayor Gondek, yes, coming. But we have to be realistic. We have to be. We have a community that we work with, and so on and so forth. They are here to protect us. There is a lot of things that the city hall is doing, and it's not simple. And now the food that is being served there used to be only latkes. Now we have soup, we have nash, we have drinks, we have. I mean, it turned into a big party, and it's not a simple thing. We need the approval of AHS, the Alberta Health Services, and there is permits. There is a lot of work, and it's expensive also. What is to put together such a program? But it's the future. It's spreading light. It's bringing light, and I thank the Calgary community. Leadership and the community, every individual for coming, for making it happen. Come in large numbers with the children. Anyone that was there, I never heard a negative word about from anyone over the 37 years that they came and it wasn't good. Sometimes there is they don't like. Yeah, of course. Last year, some people didn't like that the mayor was there. Okay, what can I do? But generally, the program is an amazing program. Fun and Jewish pride in a very, very big way, and that's what Hanukkah is about. And no one will regret coming with the children. On the contrary, it's going to be well. When I met with the mayor, with the current mayor, with the new mayor, Mayor Farkas, I met with him a few weeks ago about the menorah lighting. In general, to congratulate him and about the menorah lighting, and I reminded him that last year he was there before the menorah lighting, putting out chairs as a volunteer. So I told him, "Are you coming this year to put out chairs as well?" He said, "Of course." I said, "Okay, we'll forgive you this year for not being there."
Well, and speaking of the new mayor, we saw him today at the event, and he announced to the group there that not only was he, of course, attending, but he was having a break in the council meeting
Yeah.
so that the councillors could all attend. And it's that kind of commitment. Certainly, our community is going to be there. And certainly many of our allies will be there. And we know you've forged relationships, as has much of our community, with members of parliament, with members of the legislature, with members of city council. But when we are surrounded by people who have the same vision of light as we try to have it as a community, what a bright light we are all together. Now, the big question is, and Dawn and I were talking about this last week, are the school choirs going to be performing?
As of now, I'm told yes.
Okay.
We reached out to them. We already know the song of one school. The
Great.
other school did not get back to us, but it's happening, and there is other
Good.
things in the works. It's an hour program, which is very short, and one thing is waiting for another, and that's why it's coming together last minute. But yes, the school choirs are there. God
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Well, one of
Rabbi,
the things. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
by the way, one more thing I wanted to mention. In the podcast of last week, you mentioned that last year there were no choirs, but there was. The schools weren't there because it was off season. But
Yeah.
the winter camp, Gan Israel, was there, and they performed, and it was amazing. It was a real nice choir. So there was a choir last year also. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, a good stand-in choir, given that the schools were already done.
Yeah.
Dawn, I don't know if you've got a question about Hanukkah. I had a different question for the rabbi,
No,
but maybe if you've got one on Hanukkah.
I did about this in particular is because an event like this isn't free, and it falls on Chabad. I mean, this is I appreciate that it's bigger and it's better every year, and it requires funding, and all of your services require funding, and it all comes in through donations. Um, you know, your job not only in spreading the word, you also have to be one of the best fundraisers in the city. So,
I wish.
right now we know you can do a donation if you go to menorah.ca. But tell us, for our listeners who want to donate, we know that the money is going to go towards, celebrating Jewishness at City Hall, this menorah lighting, and much more. If you go to Chabad Lubavitch of Alberta, you're able to donate there as well, and that supports all the funding. Like, there's all your staff. I think it's 50 staff now. Like, everybody, it all gets paid from donations, and so tell us the importance of that, to be able to keep this community building that you have going on.
Okay, let me put on my fundraiser hat.
There you go.
You are correct. I'm not the best fundraiser because I'm not a fundraiser. The fundraising that I do is basically out of, I have no choice and I have to do it, and so on and so forth. I'm very good in programs and in creating and in vision and in God blessed me with that. I maybe I got it as an inheritance. My father in the 60s had 69 schools that he created and managed in Morocco, without
Wow.
internet, without spreadsheets. Everything was but he was traveling from cities to city and saving children from doing nothing, from no education in little villages and so on and so forth. And it's real schools that he had, working with the American Joint, which is today is the Federation, and so on and so forth, and etc. So yes, and the Rebbe instilled in us the vision and building the future and so on and so forth. So the Chabad's annual budget is $1.3 million approximately. That's what it is, which is huge. We have our mortgage is $2.5 million. I don't know if there is another Jewish organization in Calgary who has such a mortgage, that is outstanding. That is a mortgage, and etc. But we live on miracles. We live with build it and then people will come. That's our motto. The menorah lighting hard costs is between 20 and 25,000 that it's costing, which is huge. But again, I was not created to be a fundraiser. I was not sent by the Rebbe to fundraise. I was sent by the Rebbe to bring Judaism. So whatever it takes. And I was once told by a philanthropist, he told me, it was from the States, he had some business here in Calgary. He told me that the secret of Chabad, that Chabad are very wealthy, but the secret of the success is that they don't have any money left. All the wealth is being spent before it comes. And it's true. I mean, Chabad's budget in the world. Now, another point is no cent is being raised by headquarters. We don't get anything from headquarters or from anywhere. If there is money coming from outside of Calgary or outside of Alberta, it's by our efforts. So even in Alberta, Chabad, we are running Chabad Lubavitch of Alberta, but budget-wise, I am responsible, me and my wife, for Calgary. Edmonton has their own budget, and now with the new Chabad in the Rockies in Canmore, they have their own budget, and they're responsible for their own fundraising. So yes, all the funds that are being raised are staying basically here for our programs, our programs, everything that we do in the community. And if we would pay salaries the way we should, then there wouldn't be any money left for anyone. Basically, everyone is underpaid, and large families of the rabbis, thank God, and so on and so forth. But we're here to build, and the future is bright. The future is amazing, and we're going to build more and more and more and more together with the whole community. And the funding comes from everyone. People who come to Chabad, people who don't come to Chabad. Why? Because we don't have membership. We're open to the community. Everyone is welcome. I wish I could offer everyone that comes to see us as newcomers and new immigrants with furniture and with a job, the way you described that we did with you and your wife. Unfortunately, we're not there, and unfortunately, the expenses are bigger than the income. But thank God, I'm not complaining. I'm only I'm thankful to what we have. If there is more, there is going to be more. Even if there isn't more, there is going to be more. So,
Rabbi, I had another question, but it's alongside 5 more questions, and so I think what we really need to do is just have you on another time, sometime soon.
Either me or maybe get one of the younger people and my wife, and the ones who are doing the real work. I'm sitting in the office and having meetings,
doing podcasts, right?
Honestly, today, I don't know half of the people who attend our programs. I don't know them. I mean, that's the truth. I see them, but I don't have the relationship. It's impossible. Thank God. I mean, there is a lot of young families, and the young rabbis and rebbetzins, they're very, very active and very involved and hardworking and invested in the community and in the future. And it's real nachas. It's real nachas. I mean, I'm not retired. I still do some things, but thank God.
Well, kol hakavod,
Thank you.
You look around and congregations, Jewish congregations, religious congregations everywhere are seeing decreases in membership and decreased affiliation. And for you guys to be staring that trend in the face and reversing it is a testament to how much positivity you bring to people's lives and to Jewish lives. And so we're grateful for it as community members. We thank you for taking the time today. People are really going to enjoy hearing all that you had to tell us today. And I hope that everybody who listens, and certainly well beyond, come out to celebrate Hanukkah with us next Monday.
Thank you. But the reason is because we're not a congregation, but because we are building the future. And honestly, I'll take a little more on the pride and the success of Chabad. Every congregation, every organization in the city is benefiting growth or stability because of Chabad's presence here. By Chabad, with what we're doing here, it brings it, and everyone contributes to everyone. I mean, that's the truth for everyone.
Mhm.
But what Chabad is doing here, by Chabad moving up, coming here to Glenmore Trail, this has brought up everyone's participation. So people who don't affiliate with Chabad and will not support Chabad and will not come to Chabad, but will go to other organizations, other synagogues. Chabad's congregation is maybe 5% of what Chabad is doing. We are not a congregation. We are, and it's way beyond. Again, Armenian is a failure. Armenian is not where we're successful. We're going to build it, but with time and with wisdom and so on and so forth. And I invite anyone who did not come yet to see our Chabad campus. When you drive by Glenmore and there is traffic or there is no traffic, make a U-turn, stop by at Chabad, ask for an espresso or a latte served by the rabbi. If I'm here, I will.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
You certainly epitomize the term "a rising tide floats all boats," and the Jewish community is grateful. And at times, we sometimes forget, like you said, in times of dark, you kind of forget the light. But Chabad and you have brought a light to Calgary for over 30 years.
Almost 40.
What's that?
37, 38
Yeah,
years.
37 years, right? And it's inspiring. And anytime that you feel, and I encourage this with all the listeners, anytime you feel that maybe the darkness is a little too much and you're missing community, do stop by Chabad Lubavitch for an espresso and a latte, and that community warmth, you're going to feel it immediately.
Preventive medicine is better than waiting for when we experience darkness.
Hallelujah.
And by the way, one more point I want to conclude: the playground that we've built, $750,000 project. It's almost $1 million, $750,000 project. People ask me, why are you doing this? You need to build a synagogue. We built that before we renovated the little hole that we have as a synagogue and as everything. And I said, because that's the future, and that's what people associate with. That's the cornerstone for building the future, and that's where our mind needs to be. And I encourage everyone, federation, and all schools, synagogues, every organization, build the future. Think about the future, not to forget the Holocaust and the past, God forbid, but we're not here to commemorate. We're not mourners. We're builders. We're Hanukkah. We're building light, and everything will come together in a growth that is beyond our wildest imaginations. Thank you so much, Calgary. Thank you so much to both of you and to everyone for allowing me to bring the light of Chabad as the Rebbe's emissary to Alberta, and to share the light with everyone and to grow.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah.
Rabbi.
Thank you for the schmooze.
Thank you.
And this was amazing. Thank you very much. All right, Rabbi. Jared, as always, thank you everybody for listening in on the Schmooze.